This is not about a scandal or controversy. It's about power, trust, and transformation. HYBE's words revealed something that many insiders already sensed. Jungkook has evolved beyond the boundaries that define a traditional idol. The company didn't try to overshadow him or reframe his identity within its larger empire. Instead, it validated his independence, his influence, and his right to move on his own terms. And in doing so, HYBE indirectly told every other K-pop artist where the future is heading. HYBE didn't need to use dramatic language. A few sentences were enough to reshape the perception of what it means to belong to a label. The statement centered around the recognition of Jungkook's direction, his decisions, and his evolving role as a global figure who no longer requires corporate permission to act. In the past, statements like this were meant to control narratives. They existed to protect the company, not the artist. But this time, it was the opposite. HYBE positioned Jungkook as the leader of the narrative, the one who sets the tempo, while the company plays in harmony with his rhythm. That's not normal in K-pop. It's revolutionary. The tone of the statement felt like respect, not regulation. It was the language of partnership rather than possession. When HYBE said it would continue to support Jungkook's global activities while respecting his creative direction, the message was clear. Jungkook's choices now define the standard of collaboration between an artist and their label. Other idols, and even executives, couldn't ignore that. In a system built on hierarchy, HYBE just acknowledged equality. There's a reason this single statement hits so deeply across the industry. Jungkook's influence isn't built on hype, it's built on proof. From his debut to his solo success, every achievement carries evidence of self-discipline, consistency, and artistic clarity. He doesn't chase trends, he shapes them. And that's why HYBE had no choice but to adjust its tone. Jungkook didn't demand authority. He earned it through results that no other idol has managed to sustain so seamlessly. His solo career wasn't an experiment, it was a demonstration. Every song, performance, and collaboration showed that Jungkook doesn't need validation from the system he helped create. Instead, he redefines it with each move. So when HYBE spoke, it wasn't just communicating with fans, it was speaking to an entire industry that's been watching how Jungkook navigates his independence. Other idols saw something they rarely see, a company bowing to the artist's momentum, not the other way around. That moment reprogrammed the mindset of countless artists who've been told that the label always comes first. Jungkook's story now stands as proof that when an artist's work, discipline, and vision surpass the boundaries of management, the system must evolve to follow. What HYBE's statement truly did was reveal a silent revolution, one that's been building for years, but finally has a name and a face. Jungkook. For decades, K-pop has been driven by structure. Companies make decisions, artists perform them. Contracts dictate everything from image to timing. But with Jungkook, those lines started to blur. His solo era showed that the world doesn't consume K-pop the way it used to. It no longer needs to be filtered through management strategies or carefully timed promotions. Fans connect directly to the artist, and Jungkook mastered that direct connection long before anyone else fully understood its impact. HYBE, as much as it's known for its business dominance, had to recognize that. The new statement is essentially a reflection of that understanding that Jungkook is not just part of HYBE's success, he's a pillar that stabilizes its global identity. He's the proof that the brand's power lies in individual authenticity, not just corporate expansion. Other idols and agencies see this as a turning point. The idea that a company as structured and dominant as HYBE would issue a statement positioning its top artist as a near equal is a signal of cultural maturity. It shows that the global market is reshaping what artistic power means, and Jungkook is at the core of that change. Behind closed doors, artists across the K-pop spectrum are paying attention. Some have already started asking their management for more freedom. Others are studying how Jungkook balances independence with loyalty, how he stays connected to his roots without being restricted by them. HYBE's statement didn't just change how fans perceive Jungkook, it gave permission for others to imagine a different kind of relationship with their labels. It showed that if an artist's identity is strong enough, if their artistry speaks louder than corporate PR, then the structure must adapt. That's a powerful shift. For years, idols have been shaped, managed, and rebranded under the logic of what sells. But Jungkook has proven that authenticity sells more than any manufactured concept ever could. And HYBE, in acknowledging that truth, unknowingly rewrote a chapter of K-pop's evolution. The statement wasn't emotional, but its effect was. It didn't need to dramatize Jungkook's role. It simply recognized him as a force that transcends the old formula. And for countless artists who've long felt trapped between ambition and obligation, that recognition was liberating. There's something deeper behind HYBE's tone, an unspoken message that even the company itself might not have intended to broadcast so loudly. The acknowledgement that the artist's name can outweigh the company's. In the past, companies shaped idols into products. Today, idols like Jungkook shape companies into platforms. That's the reversal happening right before our eyes. The message to every K-pop artist is simple yet radical. Build something so powerful, so undeniable, that even your label becomes your supporter instead of your owner. Jungkook did that. He didn't rebel. He didn't publicly challenge anyone. He simply worked consistently, quietly, effectively, until his achievements spoke louder than any press release ever could. His career now defines the balance between creative control and global recognition. HYBE's statement didn't create that, it confirmed it. The ripple effect is already visible. Labels across Korea are re-evaluating how they communicate about their artists. Some are learning to let go of control, others are still resisting the change. But the fact remains. HYBE's words about Jungkook have set a precedent that can't be undone. Power in K-pop used to mean visibility. The more promotions, the bigger the fame, the more control the company held. But in Jungkook's world, power means something else. Credibility, authenticity, influence that doesn't depend on a release schedule or a management plan. HYBE recognized that shift. The statement wasn't a move to control Jungkook, it was a move to align with him. Because when an artist reaches the level Jungkook has, the company's success becomes a reflection of how well it can support, not dictate. That's why the tone of the message mattered so much. It wasn't corporate, it was respectful. It positioned Jungkook not as a managed act, but as a creative partner whose direction defines the future of the brand. And that's something the rest of K-pop must now adapt to. Every label is watching. Every idol is taking notes. HYBE, intentionally or not, just proved that the balance of power in K-pop has shifted toward the artist who can stand alone. And Jungkook, once the youngest member in a massive global group, now stands as the model for what every artist secretly wants to become. Independent, respected, and still irreplaceable. For smaller agencies, this realization is intimidating. For major ones, it's a wake-up call. Because the moment a company must publicly declare respect for an artist's creative direction, it means the artist has outgrown the system. And that's exactly what Jungkook represents. The future that every traditional model fears yet must eventually accept. No other K-pop artist has reached that balance so seamlessly. Jungkook didn't need controversy or public fights to earn his freedom. He didn't demand change through words, he created change through results. Every chart, every performance, every brand collaboration reinforced his credibility until it became undeniable. HYBE didn't give Jungkook power, it simply admitted that he already had it. Inside practice rooms and management offices across Seoul, conversations have changed. Trainees and idols who once viewed labels as immovable forces are now quietly analyzing Jungkook's path. They study how he interacts with his label, how his public image remains grounded, and how his decisions reflect autonomy without alienating corporate structure. For many, this is inspiring but also intimidating, because Jungkook's story proves that freedom isn't something a company grants, it's something an artist earns through undeniable excellence. The statement from HYBE is being studied almost like a case study. What does it mean when a label speaks to its artist with mutual respect instead of command? Older idols see it as vindication for years of suppressed individuality. Younger ones see it as a new possibility, proof that an artist can rise so far that even the system must evolve. But it's not just artists who are changing. The audience is, too. Fans have grown more aware of how much creative control their favorites actually have. Jungkook's journey has trained listeners to value authenticity over perfection. And now, every company must respond to that cultural expectation. HYBE, intentionally or not, has made Jungkook the symbol of what happens when a label learns to adapt rather than resist. In K-pop, loyalty has always been a sensitive subject. Artists are expected to express gratitude and commitment to their companies, often at the cost of their own individuality. But HYBE's statement about Jungkook changed that dynamic entirely. The company framed Jungkook's independence not as a threat, but as a progression. That's new. It means loyalty no longer equals obedience, it equals alignment of values. HYBE respects Jungkook not because he follows their path, but because his success aligns with their long-term vision. That message resonates deeply across the K-pop scene. For decades, the assumption was that leaving the system, or even stepping outside its rules, was a form of betrayal. But Jungkook has shown that independence doesn't mean disloyalty. It means growing so strong that your freedom strengthens the very system you came from. Other idols now see a new kind of loyalty emerging, the one rooted in mutual respect, not dependency. HYBE's statement has made that idea official. The agency publicly admitted that an artist's success can coexist with freedom. And in K-pop, where image is everything, that public acknowledgement is as good as rewriting the rulebook. From a corporate perspective, HYBE's decision to issue the statement wasn't just about optics, it was about sustainability. The company understands that its brand's global credibility depends heavily on Jungkook's image. He's not just an artist under their management, he's an ambassador of what HYBE represents to the world. By formally expressing respect for his independence, HYBE protected its own brand. It positioned itself as progressive, adaptive, and artist-focused qualities that international audiences value deeply. The company knows that if it tried to contain Jungkook's influence, it would appear outdated and controlling. But by embracing his autonomy, HYBE signals that it understands the modern entertainment landscape. That's smart business. It allows the company to stay relevant in a time when artists are expected to own their narratives. But make no mistake, the emotional resonance of that decision goes beyond strategy. It's symbolic. It tells every artist and fan that Jungkook's relationship with HYBE isn't about control anymore, it's about partnership. This, in turn, challenges every other company to do the same. because once one giant adapts, the others must follow or risk being left behind. Even though the statement was written in neutral corporate language, its emotional undertone was impossible to miss. It felt like the culmination of years of shared history, tension, and growth between Jungkook and the system that raised him. There was quiet pride in the words, the kind that comes from knowing that an artist once molded by the company now defines its legacy. HYBE's acknowledgement of Jungkook's independence wasn't just a public gesture, it was an internal realization that their greatest creation had outgrown their guidance. And that's emotional for both sides. For HYBE, it's the bittersweet recognition that a student has surpassed the master. For Jungkook, it's the silent confirmation that his years of discipline, endurance, and perfectionism weren't just for fame, they were for freedom. That's why this statement carries emotional weight across the entire K-pop ecosystem. It's not just a milestone for Jungkook, it's a symbol of maturity for the industry itself.